Are Arizona law enforcement agencies putting the best people behind the badge? Well, our investigation found officers on duty with records of misconduct. Some of those officers find refuge in small town police departments that are desperate to hire more cops to protect their communities. Carissa Planup tells us about these challenges.
We began looking into this issue after Arizona's first officer-involved shooting of the year. It involved an officer with a record of suspended credentials, fights, and use of force allegations. He began in a larger department and then moved down to smaller agencies. You hardly think of a chief taking the job and then being out on the streets.
It's still about continuing to serve my community.
You can find Miami Police Chief Keith Thompson patrolling the streets 5 days a week. When we caught up with him last month, Thompson had only been with the department for a few weeks.
With me restructuring the department, I don't look at it as a second chance agency. We're looking for the finest ones that we can get.
His job is to boost the community's confidence in the Miami Police Department.
It's not my needs that need to be met, it's the needs of the community.
He had just taken the job when one of his officers shot and injured a man who allegedly refused to pull over for a traffic stop, turned around, and drove towards the officer. The officer who pulled the trigger was Officer Richard Muller. Muller's career began with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office in 2009. He was forced to resign in 2013 after an off-duty fight at a Tempe bar. His state certification temporarily suspended and his name placed on the Pinal County Brady list. Every county attorney's office has one, listing officers with integrity issues. In 2015, Muller was hired on with the Superior Police Department. The following year, he became the focus of an ongoing federal lawsuit, claiming he was one of 4 superior officers that illegally searched a home and beat up and tased the owner, a man with disabilities who had to be sent to the hospital. Last year, Muller went to work with Globe Police, then months later took the job in Miami.
Why is somebody leaving one police organization to try to come to your police department?
Michael Scott, professor with ASU's School of Criminology and Criminal Justice. He says officers with troubled track records sometimes find a home with smaller agencies that can't afford to be choosy.
There's a lot of pressure on police chiefs to get their departments up to full staffing.
Scott is familiar with these challenges. In the early 90s, he built a police department from the ground up in the small city of Lauderhill, Florida.
Giving up on somebody who has promise, who has some ability, prematurely is a very expensive proposition for a community.
Our cost when we lose an officer is approximately $68,000 per officer.
Kingman Police Chief Bob DeVries offers some incentives to attract good cops and keep them.
Our goal is when we hire them, we want to retire them.
DeVries tries to overcome the challenges of competitive pay with special perks, like take-home cars.
We also have a very flexible schedule. Every other weekend, new officers actually can have a weekend off.
The Coolidge Police Department aims to inspire potential candidates with specialty training and assignments.
Whether it is in drug interdiction, specializations like, domestic violence, mental health.
For Sergeant Shano Martinez, working for Coolidge PD was an easy decision. This is her hometown, but she says recruits might be enticed by better paying agencies nearby.
They can go 20 minutes from here, 30 minutes into Gilbert and make $20,000 more a year.
As for recruits with a few strikes on their record?
Was it something that was corrected or can be corrected?
Officer Muller is back patrolling the streets of Miami, Arizona. As for the man he shot, charges against him were dropped.
What if a candidate comes to you and has some misconduct in their history?
I'm not going to sit here and punish them and rejudge them over the issue. There's that standard that we hold ourselves to. And if you want to go outside those standards, then you're not going to be employed here or should be employed anywhere else.
These are some flyers for job openings for some of those smaller agencies we told you about. I did ask Kingman Police if their hiring perks are working to get people through the door. They say those perks work for some, but not everyone. Carissa Planup for Arizona's Family.